focus on the wins and the accomplishments. We've been through so much change over the last few years, and it can be really easy to just get bogged down in the day-to-day of things and what are our future goals and what are we working on this quarter. But take that time to really acknowledge all that you've accomplished and the small wins that you've had along the way, because those really add up in the end. And so I think that helps with confidence.
Hello, welcome to Season 3 of The Blueprint, an FPA Nex Gen podcast. Today, Mike and Deshawn are joined by Haley Ellis, the Director of Operations. In this podcast episode, we dive through her journey as financial advisor to Director of Operations, soon to be Chief Operations Officer of her firm. She was able to double her firm size through the care and confidence she brings every day with her superpowers in organization and care for the general well-being of her advisors and clients. Take it away, Mike and Deshawn.
All right, today we have our good friend Haley. And Haley, in reading through your bio, I always get intrigued by this kind of journey. You mentioned that you picked up your roots and moved all the way to North Carolina. I think that's a brave and interesting situation to happen. So why don't you talk through, like, what was the decision process? Why did you make the big move and do something kind of scary?
Great question. And it was absolutely terrifying. But if you know me, you know I hate being cold. I cannot stand the snow. So after 22 years in brutally cold Michigan winters, when I was a senior in college, I decided, you know what, I'm taking my first role. I want to move out of state. I want to move somewhere warm, somewhere sunny. And that's what landed me here in Wilmington, North Carolina.
And so how long have you been in North Carolina now?
I moved yesterday, 7 years ago. So time flies. It's crazy.
As a Michigander myself, I definitely understand why you leave, but I made a full circle moment and moved back to the Midwest. So I got away from the winters and found myself right back where I started. So I definitely get it.
It's fun to go back in the summertime.
I've always lived in Maryland, and I now work in the same county that I went to school in. And so that's why I think people that move to different states, they're so brave. It's just, you got my respect.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Deshawn Peterson, and welcome to another episode of the Blueprint and FPA Nex Gen podcast. And I am alongside my co-host Mike Zarrelli, and we are up and running on season 3. We have a friend of the room, Haley Ellis, who is a financial advisor, but no longer. And this is a part of the story we really want to get into today. But she is the director of operations at Allegiance Financial Group Advisory Services. As she mentioned, she's living in North Carolina. She is a CFP and a certified plan fiduciary advisor. So for everyone who is watching and listening, please let's give a round of applause for Haley. With this season, again, we're trying to shed more lights on the next generation of the financial professionals. And you, before we started recording, mentioned your journey to not only where you are now, but your upcoming role for 2026. So I don't want to blow it for everyone, but I definitely want to hear your journey as far as going from financial advisor into this executive role. Tell us about that story.
So when I was in college, I studied just general finance. I went to a D2 school in Michigan. They didn't have an undergrad financial planning program, but I was lucky enough to intern for a financial advisor during my junior and senior years. And that's really when I found my passion for the profession. I loved working with clients, being able to make an impact on their lives, helping real people earn more money and protect their finances, not a large corporation. So I knew when I was a senior in college that this was the industry that I wanted to be in. As I mentioned, I knew I wanted to move out of state, and FPA actually became really instrumental in that process for me. I ended up emailing just my resume to a bunch of local FPA chapters across the South Coast. I joined as a student member my senior year, wasn't super involved. Again, my school didn't have a chapter or anything like that, but the FPA of the Triangle, their membership director, actually connected me with my firm because they were looking for an entry-level financial planner. And so that is how I got my first role, and I'm still with that firm. And so I feel super grateful to FPA and those connections for getting me to where I am today. And so yeah, about 7 years ago, I started as an entry-level financial planner. My firm merged with a firm out of Vienna, Virginia. So we went from a team of 4 very quickly to a team of 8. Now we are a team of 11, soon to be 12. And so in the process of that merger, especially in 2022 and 2023, the need kind of arose for someone to take on a leadership role. And so that started as the director of financial planning. So running all of the plans and e-money for clients for not only my current firm, but the new firm that we merged with as well. And then really over the last 2 or so years, the transition has just it's been so rapid, but so wonderful. We really needed someone to oversee the process of the merger and oversee our operations, build workflows from scratch, build a really excellent team culture. And so I've just kind of slowly but surely pivoted out of doing the client-facing financial planning work and shifting into the director of operations role. And so today I still have a handful of client relationships that I serve, but for the most part, I'm fully focused on leading the team and our operations, and I just love it. It's really my natural strength. I'm very process oriented. I care a lot about our team and our employees. And so I still feel like I'm making a difference in clients' lives at the end of the day, even though I'm not directly meeting with them every single day. The firm structure that we're building, the client experience, and then also the well-being of our team, directly relates to our client relationships. And so it's been a really fun journey. It's something that I didn't think I originally would be doing. When you graduate college and you start as a financial planner, you just think you're going to become an elite advisor someday. You're going to have your own set of clients that you work with. I had no idea there were other opportunities for leadership roles. And so just really grateful for my firm for creating that opportunity for me based on my skill set. I'm proud of myself for speaking up when I felt like this was a more natural fit for me in my career path.
That's knowing yourself and what your superpowers are and how you can benefit not only more clients, but also the team in general. Digging out a spot for yourself. That's really cool. One thing you said that I wanted to get more information on is you mentioned that your team went from 4 to 8 people. You doubled in size. Walk us through the challenges and maybe some of the wins in doubling your firm size.
There have been a lot of challenges, but also a lot of wins. So we took 2 firms from 2 different states, 3 full-time lead advisors and partners, and really started from scratch. I mean, we had no processes documented. We didn't have defined roles and responsibilities. I think a lot of people can relate. When you work for a small firm, you wear a million different hats. So you might be doing account paperwork, meeting with clients, planning team retreats. There's a million different roles that you can have. And so it's been tough, but it's been really, really rewarding to bring these 2 really great teams together and create one ensemble streamlined firm. And through that process, we've hired 4 employees over the last 2 years. We're about to bring on another one. So it's been a lot of growth, which has been really great to see. It's taken a lot of time, a lot of structure, and that's really what has allowed me to step up as a leader, is to determine what projects are the biggest priority for us this quarter, to meet with the team and make sure that everybody has a good understanding of their roles and responsibilities, and then to just do the work of really building out our client experience and our team structure.
Now, you mentioned something that an initial question that really stood out to me. Speaking up for the opportunity because you saw that there was a need and you rose to it for the opportunity. What would you say to someone else who finds themselves in a similar position, maybe next gen, and maybe they're not trying to, go into a C-suite role, right? They just want the opportunity. Walk us through that, quote unquote, do you have imposter syndrome, but still believing in yourself anyway? And just talk us through, how did you get to that point? Because obviously it's to your benefit.
I think it's so important to advocate for yourself. Someone once told me, if you don't advocate for yourself, who's going to? But it can be hard to do, especially when you're starting out, your first few years in the profession. I think it's really important to be open and honest with your leadership team and your manager, and keep them posted on what you really enjoy doing, what you think your natural strengths are, but also ask for feedback. Let them know what things, you're struggling with and things you want to get better at. Really, really important. I've found that, some of the best financial advisors don't necessarily make the best managers. And when you're in a small firm, they typically wear both of those hats. And so sometimes they're just so in the day-to-day of dealing with their clients and working on that aspect of the business, they can lose sight of, career path planning and just checking in with their team. And so I think it's really important, and you have the responsibility to step up and advocate for yourself. That's also finding the right time to do it. Like in the middle of client review season, if you're doing surges, might not be the best time to sit down and have that conversation with your leadership team, but just asking them, hey, could we have a sit down meeting? Could we go to lunch? I'd love to talk about my role and what that might look like a few years down the road. I spoke up for myself, and I'm fortunate enough to have such a wonderful leadership team that they were all ears and really supportive of the direction that I wanted to take. But I do think we all have some responsibility ourselves to speak up when we see something, and when we want to make a pivot or just talk about extra training that we need or more support that we need from the leadership team.
Still going back to the initial comments you made, you said your firm now was an introduction from the FPA and you were living across the country. What does the FPA mean to you right now? And would you tell other people who haven't joined or are on the fence about it?
I love that question. FPA truly means so much to me. I can't even put it into words. Just the importance of finding your community early on. Being a planner, especially in a small firm, it can be a little bit isolating. And I think it's so helpful to have community and outside perspectives, whether that's a mastermind group, whether it's mentorship, whether it's getting involved with your local chapter and just seeing how other firms are doing things. I've been so involved with FPA from the start just because, again, I felt so grateful for the opportunity that it kind of turned out to be. But also personally, it's helped me grow so much as a leader. I served on my local board for 5 years when I first started out, and then I've served on the Next Gen Leadership Committee for 4 years as well. And just, running different committees, leading projects, managing different team members on your committee, all of those skills have made me so much more of a confident leader that I am in my firm that I wouldn't have gotten elsewise. And so I think it's such a great opportunity not only to meet your community, be with people who just get it and who care as much as you do, but I think you'd also be surprised on some of the other skill sets that you might learn, whether it's technical or in the leadership realm, to help you grow as a professional a lot quicker.
Yeah, well said. And I love that you added the spin of like, you're going to get more out of it. Like, you don't volunteer looking to get something out of it, but the leadership skills, running a meeting, doing projects that would really benefit you as COO, that is incredible experience that can add to your professional profile. So there's a lot of different ways the FPA can serve you. Now, one thing you didn't speak about is the personal side and getting a group together. I know that there's a group that you guys met in gathering and created a mastermind. Can you tell us more about that and how FPA played a role?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have gone to 4 FPA Next Gen gatherings, 5 if you count the virtual one during COVID. Cannot recommend the conference enough. 2 years ago, I was looking to connect with other female financial planners who were kind of transitioning back then, transitioning into the lead advisor role. And so I actually ended up with 2 mastermind groups who I still meet with on a monthly basis. And they are just my people. Like having that outside your firm perspective, just to meet, check in on each other, see how you're doing, but also to talk through like challenges that you're facing. Like, truthfully, when I was going through this change, it wasn't easy transitioning out of becoming a financial planner and kind of changing into the operations role. I felt like I was losing part of my identity because that's what I wanted to be for so many years. Having the support from my community and my mastermind groups just really made me feel more confident throughout the process. They were a listening ear when we were developing different processes. They had great resources and checklists and things that I could use. And so I am so, so grateful to both of those groups just for their support throughout the years. And if you feel like you're missing that sense of community, FPA definitely has it.
Real quick, because I think everybody says they want to have a mastermind or study group, but then they don't actually know what to do with it. Like, what are 1 or 2 things that your group does well and how it plays a role in your professional development?
Great question. I think the most important piece is commitment and accountability from everybody in the group. When I first started out in my career, I tried a few different mastermind groups and they were great for the time. They maybe lasted for a few months. I think one lasted like a year and a half, and then it just kind of dwindled off because people get busy, you get more responsibilities at your firm, your personal life. And so something that both of my groups have done really well is setting that commitment from each team member and holding each other accountable. Obviously things come up and you can't make every single meeting, but treating that meeting on your calendar like a client meeting or a doctor's appointment and showing up, being fully present, bringing good questions or challenges, giving feedback to other team members, it's really important. And so the one group we were lucky enough to have kind of a ringleader who set that accountability and continues to hold us accountable. But if you're really looking for that consistent sense of community, I encourage you to be that person. Be the one to send out the Zoom link, be the one to remind people, hey, this is a commitment. You don't have to be here if you don't want to. This isn't a part of your role and responsibilities at your firm. But what you put into it is what you get out.
I love that. What you put in is what you get out. And one thing that we really want to share is just different steps and paths that everyone is forging their career. You have two designations. We have the CFP and we have the Certified Plan Fiduciary Advisor. Can you tell us about the latter, the Fiduciary Advisor designation? Why did you choose that? What did you get out of it? I would assume that most of our listeners are being thrown multiple designations and acronyms and alphabets every day, and knowing which one is for them can be a bit overwhelming. So for someone who has multiple, can you walk us through your thinking and maybe what you would have told yourself before you started these paths of studying and logging in all these hours?
CFP is kind of the gold standard when it comes to the financial planning world. So I always encourage everybody to first pursue that. It's going to give you the good baseline, of all the key areas of financial planning. And then from there, yeah, there's a million designations. There are so many. So I think it's finding what you're interested in and what is relevant to your firm. I got the Certified Plan Fiduciary Advisor designation, I think about 3 years or so ago. And that designation is a specialty for working with ERISA retirement plans. And so one of my firm's niches is working with dentists. Here in North Carolina, most of our dental clients own their own dental practice. And so a huge tax advantage for them and a great way to retain employees is having a 401k plan. And so we manage over 50 401k plans as a firm now. And my role when I first started out was helping a lot with the participant education and teaching employees about the importance of a 401k. And so that designation aligned really well with what I was doing in a day-to-day capacity within my role. Now looking forward, I think it can sometimes feel like there's so much out there and you want to do it all. I knew at one point I wanted to get like 5 different designations within the same year. And so if there's an area of specialty that you're focusing on, I think it can be very beneficial. But so much of what you need early on in your financial planning career is just that confidence and overcoming that imposter syndrome, feeling comfortable managing client relationships. And so truthfully, my advice would be, maybe get 1 or 2 designations if they're important to you after the CFP, but really just focus on learning how to navigate client relationships, sitting in on as many client meetings as possible, getting comfortable with that transition to starting to lead some of those client meetings. Those types of soft skills can't be taught in a designation. And I think that a lot of the times the biggest challenge that I've seen with other younger financial planners and in my mastermind groups as well is just overcoming that imposter syndrome and feeling confident with the client relationships.
Absolutely. There's no designation that'll give you the on-the-job experience of just talking with a client. And it's all about the reps. We talk about it all the time. You need to talk to 1,000 different clients or have 1,000 different conversations with clients to really get that confidence to live into your voice. That's really important. So I imagine you're not using your CPFA as much anymore. Do you think you'll continue to hold the designation, or is that something you would let lapse?
It's a really great question. I think for the foreseeable future, I will keep it just because there's a lot of work that goes into getting the designation, taking the exam, and studying. I do think it helps a little bit with showing your areas of expertise. But long term, maybe not. I think I will always keep my CFP. I'm so proud to be a certified financial planner. And even though, again, I'm not working with clients day to day, so much of that knowledge that I learned still translates into my role and makes me a better leader for my firm. Yeah, I don't at this time plan on pursuing or dropping any of my current designations, but a lot more of what I'm looking into is different leadership programs and coaching for my firm and things that are more relevant to my role than kind of on the technical side of financial planning.
Good point. Okay, so let's rewind it back 5 years ago. You're financial planner, you're doing a lot of e-money. When did you start noticing that the firm needs more structure, it needs more processes? I might be a good fit for somebody to champion this huge project.
So we merged back in 2021, but we really didn't start to have this vision of bringing the two firms together until like the end of 2022. The director of my old firm was using eMoney for all of our clients, and the new firm wasn't using eMoney at all. So I knew that was a huge value add that I could provide to the firm, is getting their clients onboarded and walking them through that process. And with that became the leadership role just kind of emerged from there, I would say, because that was my first really big project for the entire firm that I was managing and keeping track of what clients we have uploaded to eMoney, which clients we've presented to. I was doing all of the client portal and some of the plan recommendations during the meeting as well. So that was helping me grow my confidence with clients. Shortly after, a few months, I was like, oh, I've really got a good gist for this. And I've been a strong leader all of my life. I've been involved in many clubs. I love to give back. And so it wasn't my first time in a leadership capacity. So I've always known that was a strength of mine, but that's really when I started to see it emerge within my firm. And so I started having conversations with my leadership team at that time of, okay, next we really need to focus. We've got the clients on eMoney. Now we really need to focus on our internal processes and operations. And I said, I'm pretty good at processes. I'm pretty type A. I think I could provide a lot of value to the firm there. Why don't we try it out? And so just month after continuing to build those things out and kind of leading the team more, it just kind of naturally evolved into me stepping up and joining our leadership team as the director of operations, and then transitioning out of financial planning work and into more of that leadership role.
I think I have one question left, and I think it's interesting because you brought it up that your firm has a niche 401ks. Tell me about niches as an advisor. Why is it important or not? Because you could be starting out, you're meeting people. I want to meet anybody and everyone, right?
Mhm.
But you could do individuals, you can do business owners, you can do 401ks, you can do pilots, there are a million things. For me, to you, Haley, it's why do you think a niche is important or makes an advisor successful? And then I guess a part B of that question is like, what's the most random or unique niche that you've come across that another advisor like, yeah, I do this. So that's a two-part question.
Niches are hard, right? Like it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to work with this subgroup. And then it just kind of, you meet people and your connections form and it just kind of grows from there. So our firm has a niche of working with dentists because Charlie, one of our lead advisors, his father was a dentist, his wife's father was a dentist. And so he grew up in that dental world. So he had that natural market or group of people from a very early age. And dentists need a lot of help. Like they are so busy day to day behind the chair and working with their patients that they don't have time to worry about financial planning and business planning and the 401k and all of those other pieces. So that evolved really naturally for him. Now, our firm as a whole, dentists are our target market for marketing purposes, but they're not the bulk of our client base. Among 3 advisors, over 500 households, dentists are probably like, I don't know, 30 to 40% of that group. It's really been helpful for us from a marketing standpoint. Just that's where we're going to spend our time and efforts and dollars from a marketing perspective. But that's not really the bulk of clients that we work with. Now, I will say, looking forward, like if I were to just start a firm from scratch, I think it makes a lot of sense to choose a target market because it's so much easier to streamline, not only from a marketing perspective, but similar groups of people need the same type of planning support. And so you can't be an expert in everything. There's only so many hours in a day, and different client demographics have different challenges. And so I think it can be really helpful, especially as a younger planner, to kind of find your group and become the expert in that area. So whether it's student loans or employee stock plans, finding that group. I think you can focus on that, maybe get a designation in that area and make that your area of expertise for your firm. That's a way that you can provide a lot of value. The most unique niche that I have heard of is actually a friend in my chapter, FPA chapter. He's a life planner and he works with gamers. So he was a big gamer, still is. And so he writes blogs and stuff, and all of it is around like different video games that are out there. And so I'm not a gamer myself, but I thought that was a really cool area of specialty.
That is cool. I was thinking, I've heard of a tattoo artist, like he only focuses on tattoo artists, but video games, that is very unique.
Yeah, and I think when you're trying to connect with people, having the same interests makes that, again, that confidence building, that relationship building. If you have that thing that you can connect with them, it just makes growing that relationship so much easier.
Okay, so you've worked your way up, you're in the room, you're in the big boy conversation. Like, how do you show up as a young person coming into these conversations about the direction of a firm? Like, that's a heavy load. So how do you show up with confidence that there's no imposter syndrome, like you were there, you've worked your way to get into that room?
It's hard. I think I still deal with imposter syndrome. Somebody once told me like imposter syndrome never goes away, and you don't want it to go away because growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone. So I've learned a little bit more and still more every day to just fight back, and know that you belong in the room and your voice is important. For me, I feel like it's really just my passion. Like I care so much about our firm and our clients and our vision and our growth. And so it's really easy for me to show up. Now there are weeks that are really tough and we have a million different things going on or a big issue. And so I think a lot of it is just perspective and gratitude. We've worked really hard as a firm and myself to focus on the wins and the accomplishments. We've been through so much change over the last few years, and it can be really easy to just get bogged down in the day-to-day of things and what are our future goals and what are we working on this quarter. But taking that time to reflect of how far we've come and how much we've accomplished. And I've tried really hard to do that in my personal life too, both professionally and personally, to just take that time to really acknowledge all that you've accomplished and the small wins that you've had along the way, because those really add up in the end. And so I think that helps with confidence too, like just reflecting on, it might not be the same exact situation, but oh, I've been through that, so I can speak to that, or I can bring that area of expertise to the conversation. And I really think, honestly, serving as a leader within the FPA community has really helped me with not only the confidence building, but just feeling comfortable like being a leader in the room. So I'm really grateful for that.
For you, Haley, what is your third space, right? That place in between work and the office and your home gives you confidence. So it makes you a better advisor, makes you a better leader, but it also just serves you personally. So what is that for you?
I work from home, and so my third space is getting out of the house and talking to people outside of Zoom, my dance community. So I grew up dancing my whole life, danced in high school, danced in college, and moving across the country, you don't know anybody when you first move to a place. And so I'm lucky to have a local dance studio that is a group of phenomenal women that support me. Dance has just been a great stress reliever for me and just kind of a separation of space from my work and professional life. But it also helps a lot with the confidence skills. Performing in front of people at different performances and each other has really helped me balance the stresses of daily work life and then getting to have some fun and enjoy other passions outside of work.
Yeah, we've been talking about how crucial it is to have your offload activity. Like this is a industry where you're going to go through busy periods. You're talking with clients all the time. You're burning the candle at both ends, I guess. And so what's your outlet that recharges you to come back in the next day? I don't remember where I heard it, but it was saying, wow, this may be your second or third client conversation that day. It's their first time speaking with you in the last month or quarter or whatever. So you need to show up for that client. And so you need to do whatever you have to recharge that battery.
Yeah, that's great perspective. I feel the same way when it comes to my team meetings. Like it might be my fourth team meeting of the day and I might be burnt out because of the 5 different projects that I'm working on, but my time with them is important and that's how we get things accomplished. And so I try really hard, even if it's just like a quick little 3-minute meditation before the meeting. And it's so relevant for client meetings too. Like that one-on-one time that you get is super important. And so one meeting at a time, not one day at a time, not one month at a time, just focusing on what's right in front of you, I think is important.
All right, last question. What is your superpower that you bring to the table each day?
Being organized. Like I said earlier, I am type A to a T. I can take anything and streamline it. I can keep everybody on track and motivated for the future. And so I think that's just my natural gift. I was born that way. So yeah, definitely my organization. Outside of that, fun-wise, is planning trips. I am the queen of planning trips. Don't say anything around me because I'll have the trip booked before you even finish your sentence. So
Everybody loves that friend of the group, the one where all you need to do is say you're in and then the itinerary is sent out a week before.
yep.
Awesome. Well, did you have fun today?
Yeah, this was amazing. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being on. This has been the Blueprint and FPA Next Gen podcast. We'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks.